What's up, BookTube? Sandy Golson back here, getting ready to do my mid-year freakout book tag video. This is, I believe, the second year that I've done this. And so this is actually a retake from yesterday. That's not going to be anything particularly relevant to you because of when I'm going to actually drop the video. But I was trying to do it before and I wasn't feeling it, and so I stopped it and decided to come back with a fresh perspective the next day, which is today. But again, that won't be particularly relevant to you in terms of when you're going to actually see this video. But the good news is that I'm in a much better frame of mind and excited to do the mid-year freakout book tag. That's coming up next. All right, so first of all, before I jump into the tag, if you could, please consider hitting the like button for the video. And if you are not a subscriber to the channel, I would hope that you would consider doing that as well to support in a way that's free, doesn't really cost you anything, and hopefully you'll find some entertainment in some of the videos that I am producing. So with that, let's jump into the first question is, what is the best book that you've read so far in 2021? So, this one was a little bit of a surprise for me, but it is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins. This is a book that I found as an audiobook, and I had not necessarily been intending to read it, but I've heard good things about Jenkins and her writing, so I decided to give it a try, and it ended up costing me an all-nighter because I stayed up pretty much all night listening to the audiobook and right through to the morning. That left me dragging ass pretty much the next day, but it was worth it because I read a good book, indeed the best book I believe that I've read so far in 2021. So it was a very interesting read, maybe a little bit more from a woman's perspective in terms of the story type and content. There is an LGBTQ plus angle to it that I think comes through more toward the back end of the book. That was very interesting. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to give away too much. It was a very engaging read. It really hooked me right from the beginning, and I was excited to see where it was going to go because I knew there was a twist there that the author did a really good job of setting up, and that really dropped really hard at the end, and I was kind of like, whoa, did not completely see it coming, but did kind of see it coming, and it was very interesting. So I was kind of in the ballpark of where I thought it was going, but it was still a very fun read. Glad I had a chance to pick up The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins. Question 2 is the best sequel that you've read this year, and that would be Us Against Them by Frederick Bachman, and that is the sequel to the book Beartown, which I really did enjoy. It was a book that I've been thinking about getting for a while, that being Beartown, and it has a sports angle to it as well, and there's a horrific, very ugly crime that takes place, and it kind of gets into these discussions about sports and small towns and small town politics related to sports and athletes, and it really deals with a lot of very powerful topics, and it was very engaging read, that being Beartown. So I definitely wanted to read Us Against Them, and I was not disappointed. So it was a very good sequel. I don't typically read a lot of sequels, but that was one that I did pick up. It was impossible not to after really enjoying Beartown. So Us Against Them by Frederick Bachman, that was the best sequel that I've read so far in 2021. All right, next up is a new release that I have not read yet. And I actually am going to pull 3 books that I have not read yet that are new releases this year that I think are getting a lot of attention. And so I'm really excited for these. First is The President's Daughter by Bill Clinton and James Patterson. This is their second collaboration. You may remember they did The President is Missing, which is one of my favorite books that I read a couple of years ago. And this is their next book, The President's Daughter. And it really involves an interesting story with a former president. Daughter goes missing, and this president's got a certain type of background that lends itself to him being able to go on this mission. But as you could imagine, with it being a former president, some of the issues that would be related to this mission that he is going on. So this one sounds very interesting. I pre-ordered it, and I was really excited when it finally made it to my mailbox. Next up, I am back with Taylor Jenkins Reid in Malibu Rising. This is one I'm excited about reading. It's got a little bit of a historic fiction kind of thing going on, but if you consider, I think it's 1982 to be historic, then this one is something that would fit into that category. I'm really excited about it. I do enjoy Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing style, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a try. Lastly is a book that I've started, and this includes a character that you'll be hearing about a little bit more in this video, and that is The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. This is the latest in the Truly Devious series. It takes a little bit of a departure from the first 3 entries in the series, but I started listening to the audiobook last night because I discovered that that was available to me, and I did start to listen to that last night before bed. Got into it, was really hooked, so no questions whatsoever about whether or not I'm going to actually finish this book. I'm excited about it. I'm going to be reading it both as an audiobook, or listening to it as an audiobook, and of course reading the physical copy as well, just to make sure everything sinks in nice and well. Next up is number 4, and that is the most anticipated release for the second half of 2021. And even though I guess in some ways it might still be considered the first half, or it's right there on the borderline, I'm going to say that Riley Sager's Survive the Night, coming out on June the 29th, is going to be my most anticipated book for the second half of 2021. I'm probably fudging it a little bit about where the line is, but who cares? It's my video, I can do whatever I want. So, Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Riley Sager, if you've been watching a lot of my videos over the years, or I shouldn't say years, like it's been a lot of years, the last couple of years, you know that Riley Sager is an auto buy for me. I did a teaser when this book was first announced by Riley Sager, and I am definitely looking forward to diving into this one. It's got a really interesting storyline, kind of a closed circle type of thing, and I'm just really excited to jump into this one. Cannot wait. Next up is biggest disappointment of the year, and I hate to do it, one of my favorite authors of all time, but I got to go back to Stephen King. I do love Stephen King. I've read so many Stephen King books. I don't know that there's another author that I've read more books by. Then again, I don't know if there's another author that's written more books than Stephen King, except maybe James Patterson. That would be interesting to figure out who has done the most. But The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon was a book that I wanted to read for a long time, and it's a good story. It kind of drags a little bit, so I'm nitpicking to come up with one, but I did choose that one because I was hoping for a little faster pace than what was there. But he definitely did a good job of building the tension in the story, even though it did kind of drag along a little bit. But it was still a good read. I'm still glad I read it, and I might actually go back and listen to the audiobook again to get maybe a little better feel for it. I just suspect that maybe the second time around, I think I'll get a little better feel for it. And sometimes it takes that with me with an audiobook. So I might give that one another try. There's another audiobook that I want to give another try as well, because I think that coming around the second time, especially if you're listening to it at night when you're tired, sometimes the audiobook doesn't sink in for you. So we'll see. I might give it another try, but that's the pick for right now. Number 6 is the biggest surprise so far in 2021, and I'm going to go back to my best book so far in 2021, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Already talked about it. I was not necessarily having high expectations for it, but it hooked me early, kept my attention, and I just could not pull away from it until the end. Cost me a night of sleep, but it was worth it. Next up, favorite new author. Oh man, we're just going there, so I'm going to say it again. Taylor Jenkins Reid, my favorite new author so far in 2021. For all the reasons I've mentioned, very good writing style, very engaging writing style, interesting stories. Taylor Jenkins Reid, my new favorite author in 2021 so far. All right, number 8 is my newest fictional crush, and I think I might have punted on this question last year, but I'm gonna go back to the Truly Devious series, and I'm gonna go with Stevie Bell, the lead character, true crime aficionado, a person that is not only a true crime aficionado, but also is kind of like the Jessica Fletcher, the young Jessica Fletcher from the Murder, She Wrote series that I used to love when I was a kid, watching it with my dad back in the 80s. And so Stevie Bell is kind of in that mode. I just really enjoy her character. I started reading The Box in the Woods, which is the latest Stevie Bell book from Maureen Johnson in the Truly Devious series. And so I'm really excited about that one. I feel like I'm getting a little better feel for what Stevie's character is kind of like in this particular book, even more so than in the previous 3. So definitely excited about that. Stevie Bell, my fictional crush. Next up is newest fictional character, or whatever. I mean, it's Stevie Bell. We'll just say it. Stevie Bell, favorite crush and favorite new fictional character. Stevie Bell on fire in this particular book tag. So mid-year freak out, Stevie Bell getting a lot of love, but then again, so is Taylor Jenkins Reid. Everybody's getting love. So hey, I'm just gonna keep having fun with it. Let's keep on flowing. All right, number 10, we're gonna get a little bit serious. It says, number 10 is book that made you cry. Well, I'm not really about that life, but the closest to really stirring that kind of emotion in me so far in 2021 is An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. And this is a really emotional book that deals with love, the shattering of love, the criminal justice system, being wrongly convicted, and the convergence of all of these. And it is a heart-wrenching story to read, very powerfully written. If you have not read this, I think this is something that no matter what genres you prefer, this is a very powerful story. It's an Oprah Book Club pick as well. A very powerful book, but go in prepared to be emotionally moved by not only the writing, but also the story. The content of this story is very, very powerful. Okay, number 11 is a book that made you happy, and I couldn't even really think about, I can think about books that I enjoyed, but a book that necessarily made me happy, I really was hard-pressed to come up with one, and that could be a sign that maybe I need to rethink the selections that I'm making in terms of books that I'm reading, and maybe I need to start to branch out a little bit more to get some books that maybe give you a little bit more of that happy feeling. We'll see what happens in the second half of 2021. Number 12 is the most beautiful book that you've bought this year, and that would be The Haunting of Bryn Wilder by Wendy Webb. That was a really beautiful, I shouldn't say beautiful, but it was a really engaging, one of the best looking covers for a book that I've read this year. And I've had some pretty decent ones, but that was one that definitely jumped out at me, and you'll be able to see it here. It was definitely an attention grabber. Very interesting, very intriguing story, and one that I actually think I might end up reading again. Again, that was one I did audiobook, so I might actually read it again or listen to it again just to continue to get a feel for it. It was one of those books I listened to a little bit when I was tired, and so it might not have totally sunk in the way I really want a book to. So stay tuned. I might give that one another read. And lastly, number 13 is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And that question is an interesting one, but the answer is there's just too damn many books that I need to read by the end of the year. So many books that are behind me, books that are next to me, books that are in front of me, books that are in other rooms, books that are in the garage. There are just too many books that I need to read. Okay, I'm going to narrow it down a little bit, but there's just so many books that I need to read. One that I'm definitely looking forward to reading, though I will say, and again, it's coming here at the end of the month, so I want to get whatever books that I need read in the next week or so. I want to get those read because when Riley Sager's Survive the Night gets here, that's going to be my focus, jumping into that one and knocking that bad boy out to continue in my Riley Sager Reads auto buy, as I said. So I'm really excited about that one. So who knows what other books are coming. I do have some other books pre-ordered that I'm excited about and looking forward to reading. So I'm looking forward to a great second half of reading in the year 2021, and I wish you all the best to have great reading as we close out 2021, entering the second half as we look ahead to July and beyond.